I've done it again. I'll be with you in a moment. Oh, no, not again.
Well, I am next. I don't believe so. I'm sorry, but I think you are mistaken.
They can fight to the death, and I'll comb out the winner.
When was your appointment?
4:30.
Oh, mine was 4 o'clock.
Well, you're late.
A little,
Quite a little. You came in after me.
but my appointment was before yours.
If you had come in on time, you would have been finished by now. I don't see why I have to wait because you were late.
Well, I prefer not to argue the point,
Good.
and ordinarily I wouldn't. But you see, I have a very important dinner engagement this evening, and if I'm not out of here in 30 minutes, I'll be late. I'm sure you'll understand.
I do. Because, you see, I also have a very important dinner engagement, and if I'm not out of here in half an hour, I will be late.
Well, what do you suggest we do? Submit to arbitration?
I have a better idea. Unilateral action.
Oh, there you are.
It won't be long, Mrs. Marshall.
If I didn't need you so much...
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Marshall. It's a great comfort to know you're needed. Well, Mrs. Morley, how shall we do it today?
Albert, I saw you hiding behind the column. You are a coward.
You may call anyone who faces 50 women every day of his life a fool, but never a coward.
Daughter.
Well, Senator, there's only one more stumbling block.
When you call me Senator, I get the impression you're going to be stubborn.
All right, Harry, I'll be reasonable. I certainly don't want another fight with you. How are we going to solve it?
Very simply, leave it out of the bill altogether. Leave it up to private enterprise.
And suppose that private enterprise is not interested. What does the public do then? Even you, Harry, must realize that there is a place for public power.
In those areas where private power can't do any better. I think that's a reasonable compromise.
Well, at least we're on the right road. It's been a good first meeting, and I'm sure we can work things out.
And when you stall like that, I know it won't be today.
I do know one thing for sure. That is that we'll have a good time tonight.
Right, I'm looking forward to it. It's about time our wives got acquainted.
Oh, they'll be great friends.
I'm sure they will. But how can we be so sure?
Well, because they have such reasonable and understanding husbands.
True. Very true.
Okay?
1 minute.
Harry's a very punctual guy. He considers promptness a virtue.
Well, I wouldn't want him to think we were against virtue. How do you like it?
Oh, fine, just fine. Albert did a great job.
Oh, Glen, you're marvelous.
Thank you. I don't quite follow your train of thought, but I do accept the compliment.
Do you remember Albert's name?
Oh.
Most husbands wouldn't remember the name of their wife's hairdresser.
Well, he called a while ago. That's how I happen to remember it.
Oh, what did he want?
He wants you to put in a good word with his boss. Apparently somebody made a complaint against him. What's all that about?
Well, it's a long and sordid story.
And?
And we wouldn't want to be late and have people questioning our virtue.
Well, they're late.
How unvirtuous.
It's not like Harry.
Maybe it's like Jane. Just because your wife is always on time.
You're feeling pretty frisky tonight.
Yeah. It started out as a bad day, but it changed its mind halfway through.
When did that happen?
Well, I was almost delayed at the beauty parlor.
And then good old Albert came through?
Right. Our back okay?
Mm-hmm. The back's just fine.
The hair.
Oh, that's nice, too. Oh, here they come. Hello, Jane.
Hello, Glen.
Harry.
Hi, pal.
Katy, you remember the senator?
Katy, how lovely you look.
Thank you.
This is Jane Marshall. Jane, my wife, Katy.
How do you do?
How do you do? I'm sorry we're late, but
I got delayed at the beauty parlor today.
Well, the results were certainly worth waiting for.
Thank you. I think I could have achieved them without the problem, but it wasn't up to me.
well, I find one of the more distressing aspects of today's life is people's unwillingness to take responsibility for their own difficulties.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. When the difficulties are your own.
When they are not caused by someone else, they are your own.
Really? How clever.
How about a drink?
Good idea.
I could use one.
Katy?
A double.
A double? Double what?
A double anything.
Good night. Good night. Katy.
Good night. Good night. It was a lovely evening. We must do it again sometime. Say like 1991.
Just goes to show you that even a congressman is not an infallible judge of human nature. I do, however, pour an infallible nightcap. Now, how does that strike you?
Well, it strikes me as one of the better ideas of a very bad day.
I could have sworn that you and Jane were going to get along like two peas in a pod.
Oh, Glenn, two peas can be in the same pod without actually enjoying each other's company.
Frankly, I have not had too many philosophical thoughts about vegetables lately. But it seems to me that the two peas could at least have made an effort.
I was perfectly polite.
No question about it. You were so polite I nearly got frostbite. You do not care for Jane.
Glenn, the reason I was almost delayed at the beauty parlor was because of Jane Marshall.
Oh, you both go to the same place?
Worse, we both go to the same Albert.
Well, isn't it possible in our culture for two women to go to the same Albert and still be friendly?
Not when one tries to push in ahead of the other.
Well, maybe she was worried about being late.
Well, so was I.
And that's all that happened?
Well, that's enough.
Well, I just think it's a shame that two women with so much in common can't get together because of something as trivial as this.
Glenn, I do not appreciate having this little incident pigeonholed in your male mind as some silly feminine quarrel.
I didn't say silly.
I know you didn't say it, but I know what you're thinking.
Oh, Katy, has it come to that? No surprises left.
Glenn, there are times when you're very amusing.
Thank you.
This isn't one of them.
Believe me, Glenn, it was the same thing at my house.
Sometimes I think the female mind is nothing but a form of pop art.
I wouldn't say that too loud if I were you.
We'll just have to forget about the bridge foursome and all those other big social plans we had.
I suppose so. Not that I didn't tell Jane she was wrong, mind you.
What'd she say?
Oh, I'd rather not say. I haven't heard such language since I got out of the Navy.
How bad is that?
Believe me.
Well, in all fairness, you have to admit that you and I did not exactly fall in love with each other when we first met either.
True. It was only my iron discipline that kept me from punching you right in the nose.
Oh, you were perfectly safe. I'd never hit an older man.
You know, when they locked us in that hotel room and told us we'd have to stay there until we reached an agreement on the bill...
I thought we'd get out around Election Day.
And yet, if we hadn't been really forced into it, I doubt if we would have come to realize what wonderful fellows we really are.
Or realized how much we liked each other.
Say, you don't think that...
Yes. Yes, I do.
It's a deal?
No deal. Not a chance. Forget it.
Well, I can't forget it. I've already said yes.
Why did you say yes?
Because he asked me.
Why didn't you ask me?
All right. Would you like to go to the country for a weekend?
No.
Katy, I've already accepted. Anyway, it won't be so bad.
Not so bad. Terrible.
Besides, Harry and I need a nice, quiet place where we can work out our hassle on that bill.
So Jane and I can practice group therapy.
I think you're exaggerating the way she feels, and that's coloring the way you feel.
In other words, if it wasn't for the fact that we hate each other, we could be very good friends.
Why don't you just give her a chance? She couldn't possibly feel the way you do, or she wouldn't have agreed to invite us.
How could you do it?
Do what?
Don't do what, me. You know what. Invite the Morleys without even asking me.
Well, Glen and I needed a quiet place to work, and, well, I thought it might be fun.
Fun? After the other night? After that ghastly evening?
Well, I had a nice time.
After 2 drinks, you always have a nice time. Let's face it, Katy and I do not like each other.
Now, Jane, you really haven't given this a fair trial. Katy's a lovely girl. I'll bet you after 1 weekend together, you'll wind up the best of friends.
Well, if that's all it takes to make peace, we can save the world.
I beg your pardon.
It's very simple. We expand the cabin, then next weekend we'll invite the entire United Nations for a barbecue.
Well, I'm playing this game under protest.
Oh, watch out. You might end up having fun.
I don't think the odds are too good.
Come on, relax and enjoy it.
I'll try, but I don't have much confidence.
Just because of one little incident at a beauty parlor?
It wasn't just one little incident.
Oh, Katy, if our government had your attitude, we would be at war with someone all the time.
Aren't we?
Here they come. 30 seconds to Hurricane Katy.
You sound like you're announcing the arrival of a natural disaster.
I am.
Come on, now, are you going to give it a chance or not?
Oh, sure, I'll give it a chance. I just won't turn my back.
Well, I'd certainly hate to settle any negotiations with you.
With your senatorial training, I wouldn't stand a chance. You just cut off my clothing appropriation.
Very funny. Just keep smiling. Hello, you two. Welcome to Placid Pines.
Hello, Harry.
Hello, Harry.
Hello. It's good to see you.
Oh, it's very nice of you to invite us.
Our pleasure.
I just love your place.
Well, come on. We'll show you around.
Harry's being a little grandiose. There's really not much to see. Just the bedroom and living room and kitchen. It's really just a weekend place.
Well, it's still very nice. I hope we don't inconvenience you.
Oh, you won't. Not too much. Well, you should be comfortable.
I'm sure we will. Where are you going to sleep?
Oh, we'll make do in the living room.
Well, I hate to put you out of your bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Our pleasure. Well, come along. I'll show you the kitchen.
I hadn't realized that your place was quite this small.
It's not much, as I said, but it's mine. All mine. The rest are mine, too, I think.
Yeah.
Great going, partner.
Thank you. That's game. We're vulnerable. Didn't think we'd make that one.
You shouldn't have. I was looking for a diamond lead in the third trick, partner.
Really? Your discard on the second trick indicated a definite change of suit, partner.
Not according to the newest system.
Which newest system do you mean?
The newest. Samuel Scheinberg.
Read it again. All the way through.
Deal.
More coffee.
No, thanks.
Glen.
Please.
Just half, dear. That's 3/4.
Then only drink 2/3 of it.
Cream, please. Thank you.
sugar.
Wait.
Thanks.
It was a wonderful breakfast. Thanks.
Oh, what time does the newspaper come?
It doesn't.
Well, what do you say we get started? The sooner we start, the sooner we'll finish.
Good idea. I'll see you in a while. Just sit tight, huh?
Well, if the newspaper can't get in, I can't get out.
I think it'll be quieter in here.
Is that possible?
Now, you know, I don't think we're qualified to run a friendship club.
After this weekend, we may have to join one.
You know, I've been thinking, Katy really should have let a diamond on that hand last night.
It wouldn't have made any difference.
Or we would have lost. She should have followed Jane's signal.
She did. Which means that there's more than one person in your family who didn't read Samuel Scheinberg.
I beg your pardon, I've read every single word.
Not very carefully, I'm afraid.
Well, for your information, let me tell you...
Exactly.
Violence?
Probably just an accident. Now, here's where you and I demonstrate the mature wisdom of compromise.
Reasonably and without violence. I suggest we work right through lunch.
Harry, we've just had our first agreement.
Katy,
Yeah?
the dishes were not your fault.
Well, it's hard to say whose fault they were, if anybody's, but thank you.
I don't know if we could ever become good friends, but I don't think a husband is any judge of that. But it's foolish sitting here in silence, and that is my fault. I got us started off on the wrong foot in the beauty parlor.
Well, you were upset, and those things happen.
Don't misunderstand me. I don't think I was wrong all down the line.
Oh?
You should have let a diamond.
Maybe I should have.
To tell you the truth, Katy, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. We bicker over a hairdresser, and our husbands sit in that room with real problems to solve. And they do it without any dramatics or hysteria.
I have read your draft.
And you could hardly fail to get the point.
I am being forced to compromise with somebody who's completely out of his mind.
It's a nice, well-reasoned argument, Senator.
Now, just a minute. One more time. You can't have public power
Limited public power.
without sacrificing private enterprise.
Well, why don't you use your shoe like Khrushchev in the UN?
You're calling me a communist?
That's a classic example of how dense you can really be when you want to.
You don't even have to try. You can't help yourself.
What made me think we could work this out? I should have remembered exactly how stubborn you are.
Only when I'm right. At least I'm not all wrapped up in a lot of newfangled economic mumbo-jumbo.
Harry, please. Glen is a guest.
Not anymore, he isn't. He's leaving.
Oh, let the record show that it was my idea.
What about the bill?
It'll have to be fought out in the full committee.
Even if it takes all year.
But, Glen, you said that bill was very close to your heart.
Well, it is, but I can't go on butting my head against a stone wall, a senatorial stone wall.
No, just a minute. That bill means a lot to me, too. But it doesn't
Now,
mean surrender.
wait a minute. Now, just take it easy. If you want the bill, and you want the bill, suppose you just calm down and sit back and figure out how to get it.
I know how to get it, all by myself.
Oh, that won't be necessary. Glen will be glad to stay and help.
Oh, don't you believe it? Glen is not going to stay here and be badgered.
But I don't want to go.
And I don't want you to go.
And neither one of us have any intention of letting a perfectly enjoyable weekend be cut short or spoiled by some silly male bickering.
So just you two relax and start resolving your difficulties.
As you did in that famous hotel room you told us so much about.
Would you please explain to me how that all came about?
Those two getting together? Beats me.
I think they became friends out of sheer nastiness.
Just to spite us.
You ever get the feeling that you're being manipulated?
Only when I'm awake.
Did we save the country?
I don't know about that, but we sure saved the weekend.
How about a little honeymoon bridge?
Yeah, I never got a chance to play on my honeymoon.
Glad to hear it.
Mrs. Marshall?
Hello, Albert.
Hello.
I think you made a mistake and scheduled us both at 4.
But I'm in no hurry. Take Mrs. Morley first.
Oh, no, take Mrs. Marshall first.
Well, excuse me, ladies. Why don't you settle it between you? In the meantime, Mrs. Klein, she's, 3 o'clock.
Saturday night at 8 Eastern, Ronald Reagan and Joan Leslie star in This Is the Army. That's Saturday at 8 Eastern on the Movie of the Week. Now stay with us for the Patty Duke Show, next on CBN.